Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today I have Tracy Lee on my channel. Welcome, Tracy. How are you?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
Fine. Now tell us a little about yourself.
So, I am the mother of 9 children, and I have 8 grandchildren. I was born here in Columbia, South Carolina, on January 21st, in 1979. So I'm 41 years old now, and I've been writing since grade school. Um, I decided to um, quit my job in November, and at the beginning of the year, I started writing full time because most of my writings I just keep in notebooks and tablets all over the house, but I never published anything until the beginning of this year. So, and I can speak on how this came about, but it was a little, I talked about it yesterday at my book signing, and it was a little bit emotional for me, so I'm gonna try not to get emotional.
Okay.
But I started doing meditations, and I could hear God more clear once I started staying still daily, once I started doing this. And he told me, he said, just take the first step. I got you. When I tell people God has opened so many doors for me and provided so much for me since I've started this journey, I mean, I wish I would have done this years ago. I really do. But that's why I try to tell people, you find your talent. Everybody has one. I don't care what nobody says. Everybody has one. And you find it and you live it because he gave it to you for a reason, not to bury it. Yeah. So basically, and here I am.
Okay. 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 Now tell us about your book, The Journey.
The journey, the journey is like my therapy book. I also suffered with anxiety attacks and depression, suicidal depression. And I went to get myself some help. And I still actually go to counseling. I started counseling and they put me on medication, which I haven't been on in a year now. I was able to come completely off the medication. And I want to say that the journey helped me come off my medication. Because I took all my painful events and I turned it into art. So, and then I was hoping that I could use it to help somebody else. So the journey, and I hear a lot of people, that's one thing that we don't talk about, especially in our community, is mental health. We don't talk about that. And we need to, I hear a lot of people say, oh, depression is blah, blah, blah. And you're just a weak-minded person or whatever, which is somewhat true. You are a weak-minded person when you are depressed. Depression and sadness is two different things. Sadness is one thing, but depression is a takeover of your mental state. So your mental state is not the same. It's not you. So that's what I would like to educate people on. For one, we need to look at our mental health, and we need to, the same way if our physical bodies get sick, we run to the doctor. There's a doctor for our mental health, and we need to acknowledge that and not be ashamed of it. Because there are others out here that actually need help too. I see people taking their own lives almost every day, and it's really sad. It's really sad that we were important enough for God to put us here, and we are here for a reason, and we feel like we can get to the point where we feel like we're not worth being here. He wanted us here for a reason. So yeah, and that is how I wrote The Journey. A lot of things that I had suppressed during my childhood and early adulthood, it came out in counseling. It came out in counseling, and I began to revisit places in my life that I did not like. I was forced to revisit dark places that I had buried, and I guess that probably contributed to my depression. And yeah, once I began to release it, I went a different route of trying to. I went and started confronting people and blah blah blah. But that didn't work out too great. So I turned it into art. Yep, I turned it into artwork. So hopefully the journey can be like a medicine for others. Yeah.
Okay. Now tell us about your second book, Battles with My Angel, a mother-daughter collection of poetry.
Okay, and you don't have the second one. So this is the
Now,
second.
this
We
first,
just got them on Thursday or Friday. We just got them, so that's why you don't have it. But I'll be sure to send you one. Battles with My Angel. My daughter, it's an idea that I came up with. For one, I'd like to empower her before she becomes an adult. My daughter's name is actually Angel.
oh,
So
okay.
yeah, her middle name. So I call her, the family calls her Angel, but her name is Jakayla Robinson, but the family calls her Angel. So and it started off as we started with generational indifferences, and she came up with the title. She came up with a lot of the titles, but we started off with generational indifferences, and then it got kind of fun because now we're actually competing. And she's like, "Mom, my poem is gonna crush your poem. Like, I'm about to eat you up." And I'm like, "Nah, you're a young blood. You can't do that." But yeah. So it was a very fun book, sometimes challenging, because sometimes either I didn't respond with my poem fast enough or she didn't. So, because our schedules were conflicting, she works in the daytime and I'm home writing. So I got more time to write than she does, and she's in school also. So, but yeah, she's a 16-year-old. She'll be a senior this year.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So now she has a published book in her name that I'm very proud of also. So yeah.
Okay, would you like to read from one or the other or both?
Sure.
Let's see.
Um, The Journey. Oh, and I would like to say something else about The Journey too. So The Journey, there's several, maybe 3 or 4 prayers about death. That was one of my biggest fears. So um I started writing about it, and people actually asked me to like do their write a poem for their loved one at funerals and stuff like that. Yeah, because I can take it and I can make it into a way that it's more acceptable for everyone.
Mhm.
So yeah, so the journey, don't think I was depressed when I was writing the journey. It's just that some of the poems I like the poem The Journey is 15 years old, almost 15 years old.
Really?
Really.
Wow.
I wrote that for my aunt when she died, and I love that poem. So even when I write poems for others' funerals, I'll show them the poem that I wrote for their loved one, and I will also show them the journey because it fits a lot of people, and a lot of times they go with the journey. So yeah, the journey is about almost 15 years old.
Wow.
So and then in the journey also, I have several style. I have like a acrostic, double acrostic,
Mhm.
I have alphabetical points. So yeah, so I tried to incorporate a few different styles of poetry in the journey. So I could read Be Grateful
Okay.
for the journey. Yeah, I think that's a good point for the times we're living in right now. Okay. Wonder is there anyone else, and this is Be Grateful, I'm sorry. Wonder is there anyone else that has taken time out to think about the things that we often complain about? When I complain about my toes or do not like my feet, I think about the person that used a prosthetic piece. I used to hate sometimes that I had my daddy's big ears, not thinking about the person that wished they could only hear. When I complain about my eyes, the color they should be, have to think about the person that's born but cannot see. Wasn't raised by my own bloodline, caused insecurities. But what about that child that did not get a family? I look down at my belly. It's been scarred for quite a while. Never thought the woman that could not bear a child. Father, I beg, please forgive me. I've been selfish, you see. I'm dwelling on just what I lack, not what you've given me.
Yes.
And that is be grateful.
Now, you had one poem, Silly Man.
Celia Man?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, who is Celia Man? Because at the end of each sentence, you got coming down heritage, my heritage.
I am proud of my heritage.
Yes.
So that's my double acrostic. And so yeah, when you read down the lines, yeah, it does say I am proud of my heritage. But Celia Man is actually my third, maybe even fourth generation grandmother. It's my grandmother's great grandmother.
Okay.
And we have a museum here called the Man Simon's Cottage or Man Simon's House in Columbia on Richland Street. And that is her cottage. Well, that's where she lived. She was a slave in Charleston. She came here in the 1840s. Her husband brought her freedom for $2,000 from the white side of her family. And she was an entrepreneur. Now, how hard is it to be an entrepreneur in 1840 when most people are still slaves? Most Black people are still slaves. On her property, she had a lunch counter. She had a convenience store. She had a laundromat. She was a midwife. They also had Calvary, I think it's Calvary Baptist Church in the basement of the house because they didn't like for Black people to really go to church. So it was a safe place for them to come and worship God. And the house itself stayed in our family for over 130 years until it was sold to they sold part of the land to the Columbia Housing Authority, which is where they built Marion Street high rise. And then they sold the house to the Historic Commission of Columbia. So yeah, so I want to bring her story to life. And that's actually the novel that I'm working on right now.
Okay. Who was this collection of poetry wrote for?
Who was it written for? Probably my mother, because she I would say I asked her to, she asked me to put all my poems together and create a book. But when I put it out for people to read, I dedicated this book to people that suffer with mental illness and mental health. I also dedicated it to my children. I'm trying to find my introduction. So yeah, it was
Page 9.
Say that again.
Page 9.
It was intended to help those who may suffer in silence from depression, anxiety, or maybe even have thoughts of suicide. And I did ask that, hopefully during the reading of the poetry, they would realize that they are not alone. These conditions are more common than you think, but not often talked about. And I was inspired to begin my writing journey to prove to others that there is hope and there is light at the end of the tunnel. No matter how dark that tunnel may seem, we can get through it together.
Amen. And I agree. Okay. Did you write as a child?
I did. I won governor's awards for my writings. A lot of awards for my writings. And as a matter of fact, when I started Midlands Tech, we had to do, you have to take certain tests before you can start. And at the time, the perfect score was a 30. And the topic was, do you think music influenced people? And I went in on that one. And my score was a perfect 30. So
Wow. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. How hard was it to write these books?
It wasn't. I like to tell people I don't want to say it was no effort, but the gift came naturally. So it was easy. It was easy for me because writing, especially poetry, is one of the only times where you can actually base off emotion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I write about things that I'm passionate about, and also I'm passionate about helping others. So yeah,
How did
but
you
go ahead.
how did you get started as a poet? Or did it start out as being a poet? You just wrote or
Yeah, and it's weird because I started doing poetry in elementary school too, and I actually I remember one of the first poems that I wrote. I won a big award for it was the night before Halloween. So basically, it's almost like the night before Christmas, but not quite. But I transformed it into the night before Halloween. But so when I write my poems, it's so weird. Don't laugh. I write them backwards most of the time.
okay.
either either I can start from the last verse because something will just strike me, and I'll be like, okay, that should be the last verse. So I write it, or I write all over the place, and then I have to go back and put them in order. I write my verses all over the place, and then, but I never have written. I don't think I've written one poem from start to finish, from top to bottom. I write them back, and I have a habit of reading that way also. I will read something. I'll start from the bottom of the page, then go up. Then I have to get on myself because I'm like, hold on, I only got half of the message. Like, why did I do that? But I don't know why. So, the journey, the poem, the journey. I actually wrote most of that poem in my sleep. The ideas came to me in my sleep, and I was waking up and I had a pen and piece of paper beside we had just moved into a house, so me and my kids were all on the floor, and I put the pen and a piece of paper down there with me, and I just jotted verses down every time it come in my head while I was asleep. So the journey was given to me in a dream, most of it, and when I woke up I had to put it all together. Yeah.
Oh wow. Do the internet do the internet or social media contribute to the well-being of poetry?
Yes. Yes. I can't say that everybody does not like poetry.
Mm-hmm.
I have a neighbor that absolutely adores me, but she don't like poetry. So poetry is not for everybody, but yes, the internet, like you can definitely learn a lot of things um, about poetry. And yeah, I think the internet actually helps me with my poetry. As a matter of fact, yesterday I was doing my book signing, and of course it was live on Facebook, but we're going to put up some better videos because I did have a professional recorder out there, and I mean photographer, and yeah. So we're going to put up a better video so that so we don't sound so muffled. But yeah, it definitely helps me. It helps to market, and it's free or affordable marketing. So yeah, the internet definitely helps with my poetry.
What's the best thing about being a writer?
Ha! Glad you asked. So when I was little and everybody asked me, people asked me like what I wanted to be when I became an adult, I promise you, like every 2 months I had a different answer. Every 2 months I had a different answer. But it's okay because see, writing is a gift that was given to me. And the thing about writing is with writing, I can be anything. I can be everything. Like I can just it's so many avenues that I can take. It's man, I try not to live in regret, but I really wish I had started just 10 or 20 years ago, or maybe even as a child. So yeah.
Okay. Um, how do you get inspired to write?
Sometimes I get inspired to write by reading others writing. Sometimes the morning is the best time for me. Sometimes just by what, especially when it comes to poetry, watching the news. Watching the news give me a lot of ideas. It gives me a lot of ideas for my writing. Um, when I see people, because of course most of our news, most of it, not all of it, but a lot of it is bad news. So when I see people hurting and see people in pain, I'm inspired to write.
Okay. What are you currently working on right now?
So right now I am working on the novel Seal Your Man, The Legacy Continues. And basically I was it's the beginning of the story is actually I was on one of my little suicidal trips, which by the way I would say haven't had those since I began writing and probably since I began counseling also.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so one of my little suicidal attempts, and my grandmother, Celia Mann, she came to me. She came to me just as I was about to throw in the towel. She came to me. And she basically guides me back through her life to see how hard things were. And that's about all I came up with right now. So, but yeah, I'm just looking forward to getting that completed and out by September. And I don't want to rush it. I want to take my time with it because I really wanted to turn into a movie so that people here in South Carolina know who Celia Mann is and her contributions to our community. Yeah.
How can readers find you and your books?
So I am on Facebook, Tracy Lee, and I have an author page, author Tracy Lee. I'm also on Instagram, Tracy Lee 4323, and I have stuff on there. My books are on Amazon. Both of the books are on Amazon. So basically, what I tell people instead of giving them a long URL, I tell them if you just go to Amazon and put in The Journey and Tracy Lee, it'll pop right up. And the same with Battles with My Angel. If you put in The Journey and then put in Tracy Lee, and it'll pop right up. I checked it today to make sure that Battles was on there. And when I checked it today, I was just checking to make sure it was on there.
Mm-hmm.
When I checked it, I sold like 40 books yesterday. And I'm like, whoa, I didn't even know this.
Wow, good. Congratulations. Yes.
Yeah, so the journey has actually been, because you know it changes every day, the number on Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
The journey has actually reached 70 something thousand out of 8 million books. So yeah, I'm really proud of it. And I want to see Battles do the same thing. I want to see it because my daughter's involved and I just want her to, you know, be able to understand that she can do anything that she wants. She can do it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything else you would like to add before we go?
Well, I do want to talk about my girls empowerment group.
Okay.
I have a girls empowerment group called Grace in Action. And I thought that if we can catch them from the age of, because my original age was 11 to 18, but if we can catch them from the age of 10, and teach them some things and be support and love for them, because you know all of them going through different situations and the fear that's in the community now, and if we can catch them at that age and have them make a plan, you know, help them realize their gifts and talents and have them make a plan for their life, then maybe we can the number of teenage pregnancies, the number of drug dependency, the number of suicides, maybe we can cut that number down. Maybe we can lower that number if we can catch them and give them the love and support that they may not be getting from other places. I'm not saying that all my girls are not like that, but I know that some of them have issues that they have to be, we have to reinforce positivity in them. I have a little sister named Tamara, and she's 13 years old. And sometimes she gets a little, she's dark skinned. She's darker than the other three of us. And sometimes she gets a little, she don't feel good about it. And I tell her, girl, if I could have your dark skin, I'll take it today. Like, light skin versus dark skin. I was reading the Willie Lynch letter yesterday. And they actually, there were things that they used to set us apart. Like, I like to say, like Madam C.J. Walker say, the only reason why you light skin because somebody raped your grandma. So, you know, at the end of the day, we are still all black, or considered. I like to say brown because I've never seen a black person in my life. I'm sorry, I just haven't. I've seen brown, light brown, darker brown, but I've never seen that black person. I just haven't, not in my old 41 years. So, so yeah, just to build self-esteem in my girls, or our girls, I like to say, because I like to tell people these are our children. You know, it does take a village to raise a child. And we've come away from that because we don't like for people to say things to them, or hitting. No, I wouldn't, because everybody's not hitting out of love. Some people hitting out of anger. So don't hit my child. But you can't discipline my child. You can't fuss at my child. You can't get on them the same way you can get on your child. You can get on mine. I'm going to turn my head and act like I don't hear nothing. Because I'm going to allow you, because they have to learn that authority comes in all forms. You know, we got the police, we got teachers, we got principals, there's rules everywhere, and they have to be followed. So that's what I'm trying to teach them. So, and they do a lot of volunteer work with the homeless and the elderly. I started off with the elderly, but they said they want to help the homeless too. So this weekend we'll be feeding 50 homeless people downtown this weekend, Saturday morning.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm very proud of them because they come up with so many ideas. Like from this Saturday, we're having a free thrift store. So where people can come and grab a bag and just fill their bag up. And I think we're going to limit it to one bag at first to see how many people, you know, actually come. But if it's kind of slow, then we'll allow them to get 2 bags, you know, because we want to help as many people as we can. So yeah, they come up with some ideas, and I'm like, whoa.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, they are wonderful. They are wonderful young ladies. And right now it's about 12 of them. So.
Oh, yes, yes. All right, before you go, would you like to play a little game with me?
Sure.
It's called My Favorites.
Your what now?
Your favorites. Your favorites.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Number 1, your favorite poet and why?
Oh my God, there's so many. Can you go to the next one and come back to that one?
Your favorite perfume?
I'll tell you. Okay, go back. I'll tell you. Shel Silverstein is my favorite poet.
And why?
Because I used to love his book so much, and he had like 2 in our library. Those are the only 2 I could ever find. And I check out one the first week, and then when you got to take them back, I check out the other one. And the librarian say, these are only 2 books you get. I could remember so many of the poems in that book when I was little. So, go ahead.
Okay, is one of the, I can't think of the name of the book. The book is white.
Where the Sidewalk Ends?
That's it. Because I don't remember one poem in there, and that's the one where the trash reached so high.
I cannot go to, no. Oh, I know what you're talking about.
The one with the trash kept building up. And
yeah, because his poems, not only were they like reality, they were funny.
Yeah.
And when it comes time for me to recite a poem, I go straight to those books. But I used to check those books. One week I'll get one, the next week, and it just kept, I didn't check out anything else except for Judy Blume books. I used to love her too. Yeah.
Okay, the second one is my favorite perfume.
My favorite perfume?
Yes.
I don't have one. I can't wear it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got really sensitive skin, so a lot of fragrances I can't even wear.
Okay. Number 3, your favorite snack while writing.
While writing? Well, I love coffee when I'm writing, and probably because I'm writing early in the morning. So I love coffee and donuts. Oh, and cookies. The Chips Ahoy, no, they're not Chips Ahoy. They're Chips Deluxe, I think, with the big 3 M&Ms on them. Oh,
Okay. Okay.
yeah, I gotta get like a Ziploc bag and put like and limit myself because I will sit there and eat that whole pack.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay. Number 4 is your favorite hobby.
My favorite hobby. So this is funny because before this year, you couldn't get me to tell you my hobby besides reading. You couldn't really get me to tell you a hobby. And now I've been doing some real good stuff. Like I started a vegetable garden, but my favorite hobby, fishing. I didn't even know I like it. I love it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and my mom just taught me how to fish like 3 months ago. So now, like every weekend I can, I'm like, oh, I got to go fishing. Like, so, and I love it even more that I start catching fish.
Yeah.
I actually clean them and eat them, and it just feels so different to me
Mm-hmm.
when I catch my own fish and clean it. It just made me feel so proud.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And your
Yeah.
the last one, number 5, is your favorite color.
Orange.
Orange.
Yep. Clemson Tigers, orange.
Okay. It's game top time over here. It's game top time over here. Thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I feel
And
honored.
this is the book, and your other one is called Battles with Angel. Want to hold it up so everybody can see the cover? Yes, yes. So get your book. It's by Tracy Lee, and it is on Amazon. Yeah, I have my stickies, y'all.
Oh, and I will if they want a signed copy, I do mail them too. I have copies. I keep copies.
Okay.
I keep them up. Yeah. Well, yep.
All right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming in today and doing this interview with me.
I appreciate you having me, and it's a good thing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.
Bye.